Conversations. I'm Robin, your host. Today we have one of our own Kansas City, Kansans, Mr. Kelley Newton, graduate of Wyandotte High School. And he's had a long road and a lot of success in college and school. So we're going to have a brief talk with him, and he's going to tell us all about it. He's here at Kansas City, Kansas Community College as our new head men's basketball coach. He started on July 8th, and we are so very happy that you came back home. Thank you for coming to see us, Kelley.
Thank you for having me.
Well, there's so much to talk about with you.
There's a lot.
There's a lot of history here in Wyandotte County. So let's start off with some of the schools that you attended.
Well, growing up right off of 13th and Wood, right in the heart.
Okay.
You know, went to legendary Douglas Middle School, or
Okay.
elementary school.
Okay.
Went to Catholic school. A lot of people don't know that about me. I went to Catholic school for 2 years, 6th and 7th grade.
Okay.
Blessed Sacrament, which is now just kind of a daycare right now. But they had high school, and then I left there for last year, middle school, and went to Central. And then went to legendary Wyandotte.
Wyandotte High School. So you have quite a huge family.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 6.
Okay.
Youngest of 6. So that's been fun. and a lot of things to live up to. So coming from a big family. But yeah, youngest of 6, my oldest is 52.
Okay.
And then there's twins right above me, and there's 10-year gap there. So
Now, do they all go to Wyandotte?
every last one of us.
Oh, wow.
All of us are Bulldogs.
Wow.
So yeah.
So let's go back to you loving the sport of basketball. And when did that happen?
From out the womb.
Okay.
Fresh out the womb.
Fresh out the womb.
Fresh out the womb. There, my mom tells a story. There were several balls put in my crib, and the first one I grabbed was the basketball.
Oh, wow.
And it's been that way ever since. So.
And you have brothers who played sports as well.
Yes, yes.
Now, how was it living up to big brothers who, and I'm sure they excelled in their sports. So how was that to look up to?
They was football players,
Okay.
and so I got roughed up a lot. You know, when they was in high school and college, I could always follow them around, follow my sisters around with basketball as well, but brothers always roughed me up. So when it was my turn to come through, since there was a age gap there, I was kind of coming through when all of them was grown and out of the house, and it was always, you always had to live up to their standard. You always felt like, you know, they made it, well, you got to make it, you know, and they excelled, so you got to do better than them. So I always had that wanting to do better than not just one of them, but all of them put together. You know, I tease my mom all the time. I said, you saved the best for last.
That's right. Going up to Wyandotte High School, you played dual sports, football and basketball. Tell me about that.
That was great. You know, I started out in the 6th grade playing football just to stay in shape for basketball. And when I started out, I was going to Blessed Sacrament, first time playing organized football. And they put me at receiver. And, you know, I didn't like it because I didn't get to touch the ball that much. So I was like, this has to change, you know. So 6th, 7th grade played receiver, but then I played quarterback. And that led into a really good time when I was at Central, winning a starting position. And the coaches told the high school coaches, like, hey, this kid's your next starter. This is the way to go. So going to Wyandotte, high expectations, felt a lot of pride because at the time Les Unruh was there.
Okay.
Been there for a long time. He was there for 20-something years. And he coached one of my brothers. And then my brothers also played there. So I had a lot of pride putting on that helmet, putting on the uniform, because they played there and they excelled. And that was a lot of fun, you know.
Which sport did you like the best?
I still like basketball the best.
Okay.
And honestly, I loved them both. You know, I loved them both. I kind of developed the love later on for football, and that's why I continued to play and play all the way through high school. I always had a love for basketball because no matter what the weather was, you could get in the gym and play.
That's right.
You could play 365 days a year. Football was just a kind of a seasonal thing. But through that experience and finishing up high school, it brought on some big challenges.
Well, we're going to talk about some of those challenges, beginning with recruiting. When you were being recruited out of high school, you weren't recruited for basketball, it was for football, right?
A lot more schools. I was recruited for both, but a lot
Okay.
more schools for football. And Coach Unruh, my football coach, he always said there's more opportunities in football than there is basketball. He said, hey, there's 53 people on the team, basketball is only 15. And
What position were you?
I
Were you
played
always quarterback?
always quarterback.
Okay.
You know, I started quarterback at Wyandotte 7 games into my freshman year. So those last 3 games I started varsity. Throughout the whole year, I started freshman, JV, and varsity. So I was playing 3 games a week, football all through high school. Well, my first 2 years of high school.
Okay.
So that challenge of the recruiting process, there was a lot of opportunities.
Well, tell me about recruiting, because there's so many of our youth now who are in high school. What kind of things did you expect, and what kind of things actually happened?
Well, I was fortunate to have brothers that went through this process, cousins that went through this process. I had a cousin who played football in Nebraska. I had a brother that played at Butler County, then Washington State, and then my oldest brother played at Independence and then Southwestern. So they kind of shared some things with me about the recruiting process. So I kind of had a little feel for what to expect. The bottom line that everyone, that was consistent with everyone, was you need to find out what you want. You kind of put yourself in this position. You find out what you want. It's not really about what they want. You know what you want. You recruit them as much as they recruit you. So a lot of times that's what I did. Had a lot of options. I had a lot of options. Yeah, there was a lot of Division I schools for football, NAIA schools, things of that nature for football, because back then you could go in as a freshman and it wasn't a big deal about the ACT. They could still pay for your scholarship.
Okay.
And you can sit out that year and then play the next 4. Nowadays it's a little bit harder. You got to have certain requirements and things of that nature. Basketball-wise, when they found out I didn't pass the ACT, a lot of them just kind of, you know, a lot of junior colleges came in, and there was a lot of junior colleges around the Jayhawk Conference, and they wanted me to come and do both at the time, play football and basketball.
So before we get to the decision of which one you, because it's a good one, before you went into that, before we got to that decision, what was your mom's input?
Well, she kind of was just very supportive, first of all, but she just knew I was going to play basketball.
Okay.
For the most part. I think everybody, well, my dad was kind of either way. He didn't care. As long as I played and he can come watch, it didn't matter. Of course, my brothers wanted me to play.
But did the recruiters talk to your parents as well?
They did.
Okay.
They did. We had a lot of home visits at the time. You know, this is way before media, so a lot of things wasn't publicized like this, but there was somebody at the house pretty much every week.
Wow.
You know? So it was kind of overwhelming for her because it wasn't like that with the older 2. So I always teased them that I was better anyway, you know, but we kind of have that family rivalry,
How
sibling
did that make
rivalry.
you feel as far as school was concerned? I mean, how did you feel around your friends?
It was great. You know, a lot of, you know, it wasn't.
They were happy for you?
Yeah, everybody was happy. You know, it wasn't a whole lot of jealousy and things of that nature because most of them was kind of going through
the same thing.
The same thing.
Okay.
You know, maybe not to that scale, but choices of picking a sport, picking a school, things of that nature. So it was a lot of things to talk about around the lunchroom table.
I bet.
You know, so it was a lot of fun. So, but it was a lot of support.
Well, Wyandotte is a wonderful school. You know, I worked there, and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So leaving, of course, and then starting over with your next phase of your life, we're going to talk about that, your decision, when we come back from break. So we'll be right back with Mr. Kelley Newton.
If you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. Follow through and check your skin. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how.
Hi, and welcome back to Conversations. I'm Robin, and we're here with our new head coach for the men's basketball, Mr. Kelley Newton. And so before the break, we were talking about the decision of which scholarship you were going to take advantage of. And now we're going to reveal what college you selected and the reason why.
Well, that's an interesting choice. I had a choice to play football or basketball, and I chose Neosho County.
Okay.
Community college down in Chanute, Kansas. And the reason was simple. I didn't want the pressures of playing football and basketball, and I chose to play basketball to be separate from my brothers. My brothers play football. Neosho don't have a football team, so I didn't have the pressures of playing both.
So your mom was right.
So my mom was right.
She knew.
No doubt.
She
knew
knew
that basketball was my first love. So from even back in the crib, you know, so.
She knew.
She knew.
Moms know. So playing for Neosho, what was that experience like? You were far away from home.
Yeah, 2 hours away.
Okay.
So I was far enough away to say, hey, I'm on my own, but then I was close enough away to where if I need a home cooked meal, get some clothes washed, I can come back home. I've been blessed to be around great coaches, you know, from Maurice Champ at Blessed Sacrament to Wayne Van Dyne at Wyandotte, Jan Hanley at Wyandotte, Coach Alexander. So I went to go be with another coach. Another reason why I chose Neosho County was Coach Gill was a coach that allowed his players to play, but play in a structured system. And I was a shooter, you know, I love to shoot. You know, that's how I made my name, as you say, or you can say that's how I made my money.
Okay. Now what position?
I was a shooting guard.
Shooting guard, okay.
And Coach Gill, for the last 3 years, prior to me getting there, led the country in three-point attempts and three-point makes. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. You know, I can just let it fly all day long. And that's exactly what I did for 2 years.
Okay.
You know, with Coach Gill. So that was, you know, that was me recruiting them just like they're recruiting me.
Right.
So
you had a really good time in Neosho.
Great time. Great time.
From there, you had a chance to move to another phase of your life, of course. What were your choices as far as going to a four-year university?
Well, had a really good sophomore year at Neosho. Averaged 18 points, was all JL conference selection, things of that nature. And we had some really big games, if you will, in front of some really big scouts, and that kind of put me on the map.
Okay.
And with that process, leaving Neosho, leaving to choice, I had a lot of different choices. There was roughly
KU?
about 15 different schools. KU was not one of them.
Okay.
And I wanted KU to be one of them.
Okay.
You know, growing up here, loved the Jayhawks. I wanted to play for Roy. It didn't happen. I wrote him letters in high school, wrote him letters in college and junior college. My junior college coach, Jeff Gio, played at Kansas for Larry Brown.
Okay.
And knew Roy Williams, and he talked to him for him, but yeah, Roy didn't recruit me. So, so I had some choice. I narrowed it down between Tulsa and Oklahoma. Coach Bill Self was at Tulsa.
Okay.
And I narrowed it down between him and Coach Sampson at Oklahoma. And, you know, through all the events, I chose Oklahoma.
Okay.
And it was a great choice, great decision. And I'm one of the few people that are 500 against Kansas.
Okay.
You know, I'm 3-3 against Kansas. So I beat them 3 times, they beat me 3.
Okay,
Most people
so you
can't say that.
right.
So I can tell Roy I got the last word, you know,
Okay.
because we beat them when it counted. We always beat them in the Big 12 tournament.
Wow.
They beat us in the regular season. We beat them in the Big 12 tournament and kind of ended their run. And one year one year, my senior year, we won the Big 12 championship in Kemper Arena. So that was awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Mom and dad there.
Oh yeah.
Sisters and brothers.
Oh yeah. We was 100 strong there at
yeah.
Kemper Arena.
Well,
It was deep.
Yeah.
It was deep. So and that was a lot of fun. You know.
I was going to say that must have been really, really, really fun.
It was really fun. We and ironically, me and my assistant coaches just got through watching that game film because a lot of our offense is a lot what I ran at Oklahoma. So I was showing them how to run certain plays, and it was just so funny. I mean, before I came over, we was watching that game film and reliving some of those memories, so that was awesome.
What else was special about Oklahoma? I mean, you saw the city go through a growth spurt.
When I got to Norman, Oklahoma, city-wise, economically, culture-wise, Kansas City has surpassed Oklahoma City. I mean, we was kind of booming. Things was faster paced than Oklahoma City, and I got to see. I was in Oklahoma City and Norman in that transition where they went from not having a professional basketball team to having one through my years of being in school in Norman and then also living there. The city has grown. They have the Riverwalk now. They have businesses have boomed. They restructured highways, and I mean, it was just miraculous to see. And now, you know, they're booming. I mean, Oklahoma City is booming. The town is booming. The cities around us is booming. When the country went through the recession, Oklahoma City was, you know, secure. You know, in their oil and gas and resources, things of that nature.
So you really liked it there.
I had a blast. You know, the stigma of Oklahoma City is nothing but country and cowboys and cowgirls is so not true. You know, you get into the Oklahoma City, I mean, it's a city.
Let's talk about Coach Sampson for a minute. Great coach.
Great coach.
What did you learn from him?
Toughness. You know, as a coach, he was a great person to learn under. My first year at Oklahoma, I tore my ACL, so I missed the entire season.
Oh, wow.
And I tore my ACL the week before the first game. Well, that was probably a blessing in disguise because I went through a lot of transition mentally, the devastation of not playing, getting ready to start, have a great year, not playing. And one thing he allowed me to do, he allowed me to sit in on coaching meetings and sit in when the coaches met and game planned and got together and things of that nature. And from that time, I knew I wanted to be a coach, but when I went through that
happened,
that solidified it. That put a stamp of approval, like, yes, this is what you're going to do.
Okay.
And I learned a lot. You know, learned a lot about game planning, adjusting from game to game. Learned a lot about how to treat players, how to.
I was going to ask you about the players.
The player, yeah. And I
yeah.
thought Coach Sampson was a great players coach, and he surrounded his coaching staff with people that was that way as well.
Okay.
His communication, his teaching was the best that I've been around. You know, I talked about my great coaches. Coach Gill was a great X's and O's offensive set guy.
Okay.
Coach Sampson was a great motivator, getting the most out of his players. You feel like you could run through walls, you know, and that's how we played. We played hard, and you know, and people that know Oklahoma during that time, you know, we held teams down. You know, if they averaged 80, we held them to 60. If they averaged 90, we held them to 60.
Okay.
You know, that's what we did. So that toughness aspect, and then the communication aspect, in relaying that message over, that's what I learned most.
So a good coach is a good listener as well, right?
Oh, most definitely. The best coaches are the ones that learn as they're teaching. You know, one thing that most coaches say in the coaching world is that you have to be a student of the game.
Okay.
You know, and that's just not for the players.
Right.
I am still learning as we speak.
Head coach here, yeah.
Been coaching for 11 years. The last 5 years been head coaching, and I'm still learning. You know, I still go to coaching clinics. I still watch a lot of games, still read coaching books that come out, and you want to learn as much as you possibly can. So when you get in those certain situations, or your team get in those certain situations, you're able to flip it and switch and make it work for the group of guys that you're coaching. So you have to keep learning. You know, it's not my way. It's always our way.
Right.
You know, and whatever that way is it might change, but you got to keep learning.
Okay. We're going to take another quick break. We're going to come back. I will be right back with Mr. Kelley Newton in just a moment.
My team depends on me.
And my team is 50,000 strong.
This is what it feels like to be part of a team.
A winning team.
The action team.
Get in on the action at actionteam.org. Are you in?
Hi, and welcome back to Conversations. I'm Robin, and we are here with Mr. Kelley Newton, our new head men's basketball coach here at Kansas City, Kansas Community College. We're going to go back to Oklahoma. Your last year there.
Yeah.
and you got to make a decision what you're going to do.
Yeah, graduation's coming. We had a great year, went 27-7. Decisions got to be made, and I was actually finishing up a course. So May hit, I actually graduated, but I
Okay.
had one class to finish. And talked to the coaches. I wanted to continue to play, and I had the opportunity to go to France. I went to France for a month, and quickly realized that, hey, this is a business, and everything is not what it's cracked up to be. And you got to be willing to go through some stuff to make it work at this level. And it's just, it was a really small team, and I didn't stay long. I stayed a month. As soon as I got some money, I got on the first thing smoking, came back home,
Okay.
and decided to stay in the States and play.
Okay.
And I played in a league that was going on called the USBL.
Okay.
And I was with the Oklahoma City Storm. So played there for one season.
What
We
was
had
that
a
like?
good year. Got to meet some people. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was my coach.
Okay.
And
Wow.
that was really good, and that lasted for a while. Once again, it's a business. So I came back home and went back to Norman.
What was Kareem like? Let me ask you that.
Kareem was awesome. Had many talks with him. I don't know if he'll remember because I haven't seen him since.
Okay.
But I had many talks with him. I'll never forget, we was coming from Oklahoma City and going up to St. Joe to play against a team up there, and we was driving through Kansas City, and he was just telling all the stories about him coming in and playing the Kings, and
Oh, wow,
how they went to
yeah.
Arthur Bryant's, and how they took trains from city to city, and I mean, it was great. He autographed a book for everybody on the team that year. I still have his book, and that was a great experience. It was a really great experience. Some stuff that I can kind of store away and
Right.
and pull out as needed.
Right.
But it was a great experience. We won the Oklahoma Storm. We won the championship that year, which was
Right.
awesome.
Who did you play against that year?
Oh wow, I believe it was the Kansas Cagers in the
Okay.
championship game.
Okay.
It was a series, best of 3, I do believe. But yeah, I played for $75 a week,
Wow.
and but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I would play this game for free at that time, and I was working graveyard at Walmart, so I was working from 10 to 7. I go sleep for a couple hours. We had practice at noon or 1 o'clock, and go practice for 2 hours or whatever, and then
Wow.
try to find time on my own. And I went up to Oklahoma and try to get some extra work in, and then I get a couple more hours of sleep and go to work, and that's what I did for several months. And then after the storm, I was like, hey,
What are you going to do?
what am I going to do? Am I going to continue to do this and keep trying to climb this ladder, or am I going to kind of settle into a career? And I fell back on my experiences. I want to be a coach, and one of our assistant coaches got the head job at Midland College down in Texas, and started my coaching career.
Wow.
So moved down to Midland, Texas. I packed up the pacer, as they say, but no, I didn't have a pacer, but Intrepid. I had
Right.
Intrepid. Packed it up with everything I had, drove to West Texas, and
Now, were you married then?
I was not married.
Okay.
Was not married.
So you're still-
so still single.
Okay.
I was dating my current wife.
Right.
We was dating, kind of was just getting started.
Okay.
And she probably don't like me telling this, but I told her that we was gonna have to break up because I don't do the long distance thing.
Wow.
But we ended up getting married,
You ended
so
up getting married.
it worked out.
That's good. That's wonderful.
It worked out.
So, what was your first challenge, or some of the other challenges that you had as a coach? Because now you're not a player; you're on the other side. What were some of the challenges?
I have a bunch of those.
Okay.
23 years old, first coaching job at a junior college. That wasn't so bad. I was there for 9 months. We had a very challenging year. We went through a challenge of losing. That was the first challenge.
Okay.
We lost 11 games in a row. Never did that before as a player. Never did it, and that was.
So you're scratching your head as to
Oh
what's
my!
going on.
What in the
Why-
world is going on? Because I can think about it as a player, this is not happening, But I learned as a coach, you can only control the things you can control. Don't worry about the things you can't. So we got to keep working and keep playing, and we got to instill in our guys. And we won our last 4 games, and we ended on a good note. Well, I left there and went to the University of North Alabama. And that in itself was a challenge because, for one, I'm in the South for the first time in my life.
Okay.
And that was a culture shock. So I'll save that for another conversation.
Okay.
But my challenge there was, now I'm at a 4-year school and I had 2 players that was older than me.
Oh, wow.
I'm 24 years old. I have a player that's 28 and I have another player that's 27. And the player that's 28, 6'8", 310, just got out of jail, has a 9-year-old daughter, and coach tells me that I'm in charge of him when he has his outburst.
Wow.
I mean, this man is older than me.
Right.
He can throw me over the balcony, he can handle
Right.
me, and that was a challenge because, you know, relating with him, conversating with him. One thing that I appreciated so much, here's this man, older than me. He believed in me enough in our interaction to continuously call me coach. And I thought that meant a lot. He continuously listened to me. So there was something that I was doing in my conversation with him, relating to him as a player and kind of where he's from and what he's been through, and using that to motivate him and to continue and push through. He got his degree in 2 years. And now I keep in contact with him periodically. We have a really good relationship. You know,
Do you think that came out of you from what your previous coaches had done for you?
I think that was some of it,
Yeah.
but I also think of one thing that my mom always told me. She always told me I was very mature for my age.
Okay.
And I think that was it, because I grew up around a bunch of women and a bunch of people that was always 10, 20, 25 years older than me.
That's right.
And I think that probably played a big part, more than anything else, was that I knew how to carry myself. I knew how to talk and articulate and get a point across and
Get your
things
point
of that
across.
nature. And I think that helped in that 2-year span that I was dealing with him.
Well, after leaving the University
Of North Alabama.
in North Alabama, how many other institutions were you at?
Well, those 2 was my first 2 after I left North Alabama. I made a
Okay.
big decision. I decided to choose family over
Okay.
coaching.
So you came back home.
So actually, I went back to Oklahoma, and which I consider home even to this
Okay.
day. I mean, it's my second home.
You
My-
said, I was going to say, this
Yeah,
is your home.
This is my home. No, this
That's
is
your
my
second
home.
home.
We're not gonna get that twisted. But no, my second home, Oklahoma City,
Yeah.
because I have family down there, friends. But when I left North Alabama, the last year I was there, me and my wife decided that she wanted to move up there, and we had been dating. And I said, okay, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna give this a year. If it works out,
So
it's
after,
good. So
after leaving Alabama, going to Oklahoma,
moved back to Oklahoma.
you really did come back home.
I did.
And we are so happy that you made that
Mm-hmm.
decision, because after, of course, the opening came up and had lots of applicants,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of stood out. That's why you received a phone call from me to come on up to interview.
Yeah.
And how did it feel coming back home?
Oh, it's a blessing. I'm still overjoyed. You know, it's still somewhat surreal, but at the same time, it's very real. I'm honored. Most people don't have the opportunities that I've had in the last
You've
5
gone
years.
around, yes.
You know, just in the last 5 years, the job before this, I got to coach in my alma mater. I
Okay.
coached at Neosho County for 3 seasons. And then coming back home to KCK, I knew Coach Pratt when he was here. I knew Coach Oler while he was here. And to be back home 5 minutes from where I went to high school at, 5 minutes from where I grew up, it's just an honor. It's very humbling.
Now, you have one of the most unique plans, I think, and that is to go back to these high schools and actually introduce yourself and get them more familiar with the college, or the Jewel right here in our own city. So how do you think that's going to come? I think in my mind it's going to be like one of the most awesome things that ever happened.
I think it would be great. I think it's something that's needed. I said in my interview that we might not get every kid, but we want to make sure that our doors open for every great kid, every good kid, every kid that wants to be here. I can guarantee that every kid that plays basketball in our city, in our area, in our metro is going to know who I am. I'm going to make a committed effort to go out and watch these kids practice, introduce myself to the coaches, build a rapport to where they feel like they can come to KCK, thrive, get their education, and reach their goals of furthering their basketball career. So that is my plan. I want to go in and watch them practice. I don't not too much worry about showing up to games. And it's going to take time. I mean, we have 30,000 schools in our
Right.
metro, it seems like, but
They're
that's
growing.
our commitment, definitely around us. You know, Wyandotte, Washington, Schlegel, Harmon, you know, Bishop Ward. We're going to be in there, and they're going to know who we are.
And you're also coming out with your own TV show right here on KCEC. So, and it's going to be, I don't know what the name of it is yet, but you're going to highlight
Yeah.
a lot of the basketball things that they need to know
Yeah, our
about.
coaches show, and we're excited about that. You know, Blue Devil basketball with Coach Newton,
Okay.
I believe, is what we settled on.
Wonderful.
So we're looking forward to that, to highlight our current athletes,
Okay.
talk about any games, and then as we go through the recruiting process, we can talk about any possible recruits, possibly. So
Okay.
looking forward to it.
Well, Tony, and Tony gave me a great show. And here you are, Kelley, giving me a wonderful, great show. Two coaches, one not from here, one from here. Thank you for coming back to our community,
Thanks
Kelley.
for having me.
We really welcome you back with open arms, and we're going to look for your show. I'm going to look for your show.
Please do.
And and of course, we're going to fill the stands with lots of fans here.
Definitely.
From Kansas
Definitely.
City, so-
We're going to have all kinds of promotions out there.
Well, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be at some of the games. So here we are. Thank you for joining us this time on Conversations, and we'll talk to you later.